Hey, how's it going everyone? True Underdog here, and today I wanted to share my opinions on the recent patch, more specifically who won and who lost, and just characters who came out better off or worse off in general. And to start things off, I want to talk about who is considered by most players to be the best character now and who is considered to be the worst character now. And this isn't really my opinion, more so it's the opinion of most players and top players as well. So the character who many consider to be the best in the game now is Gotenks. And you might be wondering why, since he got one nerf, which is that his level 3 no longer allows him to air dash. He has to touch the floor now before he can actually move once the cinematic ends. So basically he can't air dash anymore, he has to wait to hit the floor, which is similar to a lot of characters. Most characters couldn't move until they were on the floor, and now Gotenks is more in line with that, but his setups haven't really changed that much. He can still pressure you just fine on wake up. And after that, the only real buff he got was actually more or less a bug fix. So his down heavy will now no longer whiff on certain characters who are smaller when they're right in front of him. So before it would just whiff on characters that it shouldn't have because they were close enough to hit, and that was basically fixed. So one of his nerfs was a genuine nerf, and his only buff was a bug fix that should have never been there. So why do so many people consider Gotenks the best character in the game now? Well, it's mainly because he was largely untouched, whereas the other big two were very much affected. So Bardock, for example, got some pretty substantial nerfs. So if I was to take control of Bardock right here, his level 3 is no longer the monster it used to be. His Oki pressure afterwards is all but gone. The only way to actually pressure the opponent after this level 3 lands now is to do a micro dash and then jump immediately afterwards, and then, only then when all those specific requirements are met, can you actually hit the opponent as they're getting up. That's the only way you can actually apply pressure, so there's no real mix-up anymore. You can't cross up, you can't go for empty jump lows really, you can only actually go for the overhead, and the opponent can probably still reflect even then. And it might not seem like much to more casual players, but that level 3 pressure was a very big deal for Bardock. Many players at tournaments would actually always cancel into his level 3 super for a tag super because it allowed more pressure afterwards. So for example, if they were playing Android 16, they would do his level 1 and then tag cancel into Bardock's level 3 just for some extra pressure on wake up. And now they can't actually get that benefit anymore because the pressure is much harder to do and the mix-up is pretty much all but gone. So Bardock got a pretty big nerf. However, he's just one of the big 3, right? Just one of the top characters. So what about Android 16? Well, his nerf was also pretty substantial, and it's also a very similar nerf as well. So his level 3 puts him further back than it used to, whether it be mid-screen or corner, which basically means he no longer has access to a cross-up, which is something Android 16 could always do mid-screen or in the corner, and now he no longer has that. He still has the empty jump low or the overhead mix-up, and he could also go for a command grab too, right? That's still an option that he has, but he can no longer go for that cross-up, especially in the corner, and that was a big deal for Android 16 that he could do that, because he actually put the opponent further away from the corner, even once he had them cornered, if that makes sense. So basically you land a level 3, and then it would pull them a bit further from the edge of the screen, and you could still cross them up even in the corner, which was very rare in this game. And now that's no longer the case. Now you're still right in their face, so you can still go for command grab setups, or you can go for overheads or lows, but Android 16 no longer has the cross-up option, whether it be mid-screen or in the corner, and that's a very big deal. Both Android 16 and Bardock benefited substantially from their pressure they got after their level 3s, and now a lot of their mix-ups are gone, especially Bardock. So with 2 of the big 3 being nerfed that substantially, and Gotenks basically being untouched, is why many players consider Gotenks to be the best character in the game right now. Now for me personally, I think it's actually even between him and Adult Gohan. I think Adult Gohan is probably just as good. However, the reason many players consider Gotenks better right now is because the meta for Gotenks is still evolving. His mix-ups are taking longer for players to adjust to, whereas Gohan's been top dog for much longer, so most people are aware of what Gohan can do. Not to mention Adult Gohan got a few nerfs, so his block string no longer allows him to do standing heavy into crouching heavy. He now has to go just straight into crouching heavy and then his lightning legs if you're on the ground. Well, I should call them machine gun kicks, I'm just used to Chun-Li, so I call them lightning legs. So it's not that big of a nerf, you basically just can't do this anymore. The opponent is pushed too far away. Now instead you have to do this and then lightning legs on the way down, and it's still some pretty good pressure. However, Gohan did get kind of a secret nerf that I haven't seen many people talking about, and that's his assist. So if I was to play as Bardock right now and call in Gohan's assist, it's a very great defensive assist, right? Gets people off you. But here's the thing, you actually can't call an assist immediately after blocking anymore. You have to wait a few more frames before you can actually use your assist, which means calling in Gohan to get people off of you isn't nearly as useful anymore. So in terms of assists, Gohan got a little bit weaker, whereas Gotenks' assist is still fantastic, so in that regard, Gotenks might still be definitively the best character in the game. I still think it's an even toss-up between the two of them just because Gohan gets stronger over time, and his combos hurt a lot more, but Gotenks definitely is up there. I would definitely agree if someone told me he's the best, but for me personally, I think Gohan and Gotenks are fighting for the #1 spot right now. So that's about it for the best characters in the game, so now let's talk about who many players consider to be the worst in the game, and that is sadly Android 17. And you might be wondering why. Well, it's mainly because this guy didn't get touched at all in the update. He didn't get any buffs or any nerfs, he got some weird visual glitch fixed, and that's about it. And the reason many people consider this guy to be the worst in the game now is because he struggles in a lot of areas, so his mix-ups are pretty godlike, right? That's his biggest strength. He can decide what mix-up he does next, he can go into barriers and stuff like that, but the reality is those assists aren't that tough to block at a local tournament. You basically just wait for the overhead and then down heavy. Everything else can be crouch blocked, so it's not that big of a threat. And then of course you watch for the cross-up visually, you can kind of see it coming. Online they're a bit more of a threat, but the problem is they don't lead to very much damage if they hit, unless you spend a lot of your resources, like a good amount of meter and your assist to extend the combo. They're just not that threatening even if they do land. And on top of that, his range game is very, very bad. He has to actually charge his projectiles that can actually work from a distance. He can't just throw them out right away, so that's another big weakness of Android 17. He can't just pressure you from a distance. He can't really play that range neutral game. He has to stay in at all times. And even that's a bit of an issue because he has some stubby normals. His crouching medium, pretty abysmal compared to most characters. His standing medium flies forward, but that's pretty standard for a lot of characters to have that. His crouching medium's just pretty abysmal, and he has down forward heavy to kind of compensate, but that's not as fast as the medium, nor is it as natural to combo into, so it's still a bit of an issue. And even though Android 17 is lacking in all these areas, the developers didn't help him at all in the patch. And it's the same for Cooler as well, and I think it's because they're both pretty new characters, and the developers didn't want to make any changes yet since the meta for both characters is still evolving. But the thing is, Cooler was already considered a solid character because he had a get off me move, his level 3 was very unique and actually beats safe jump options, and of course he has fantastic range and some good bread and butter combos as well. So the fact that Cooler didn't get any buffs or nerfs isn't a very big deal, but Android 17 was a severely lacking character in terms of tournament viability. Online I think he's okay, but he's definitely lacking, just like how Beerus used to be lacking. Like, you can still play Beerus and do well, right? But it was really tough to use him and you were definitely handicapping yourself, and then you have to combine that with the fact that the other bad characters all got buffs. Whether it be Beerus or Nappa or Teen Gohan, they all got buffs, and so did Majin Buu as well. So they're all a bit better, whereas 17's the same as he was, and that's why many people still consider Android 17 the worst character in the game. Now I just want to go ahead and say that in my opinion 17 is still fine. You can still use him and still win with him, have fun with him, play wherever you want to play. At the end of the day it's all about having fun, but you're not going to see this guy at tournaments anytime soon, especially major tournaments, because he doesn't bring that much to the table as of yet. So now I wanted to talk about things that are a bit more positive, things that make me happy. So now let's talk about characters who got some well-deserved buffs that have me very excited. So first up we have Goku Blue. This guy now has a teleport mixed up to his command grab. I said in my review of the patch notes not to get excited about it because I thought it was just going to be a punch, like his light version, but it's not. The medium and heavy are both command grabs that teleport forward. Now, you're not actually immune to damage when you teleport from what I've seen because it's so fast you still get hit by pretty much everything, but it's still a regular command grab mix-up just like what Broly has, just like what Android 16 has. It's still a very big threat, and in the corner, it leads to a full combo. In fact, if you're anywhere near the wall, it leads to a full combo, so that's some scary stuff. This guy now has things to make him a real threat, and that's just awesome. Especially in the corner, he now has even more mix-ups, and keep in mind, Goku Blue is already the mix-up king, in my opinion. So for starters, he has the infamous auto combo overhead, which is tougher to block than you might think, especially when opponents start staggering it with crouching medium. Like this, it's very tough to get a handle on which one's coming. Plus he can go for the cross-up too, right? He can go for this. That's pretty scary too, to watch out for that. And he can stay in the front too, it doesn't have to be a cross-up, and you can down heavy both options. And that can be fine, but sometimes you're sent flying high into the air, and when you're high in the air and can't see the opponent touch his forehead anymore, it's really tough to see that cross-up coming in the sky. So on the ground, he has a cross-up option, he has the overhead low mix-up, which is very scary, and then he has the command grab now to make him even better, so Goku Blue is very much a threat now. And I should also bring up that with the right assist, I'm pretty sure you can actually combo that too. Yeah, look at that. With the right assist, it's now a full combo. That's just crazy. I think I might start playing Goku Blue in the future. He seems like a lot of fun, and I love me some grapplers. And next up, I wanted to talk about Broly. So Broly only got a couple of buffs, but they're both pretty substantial. So similar to Gotenks, his down heavy will no longer whiff on shorter characters who are right in his face. That's a big deal. I have a friend who plays Broly a lot. He mains him. And he told me that even if small characters super dashed right in his face, he couldn't actually down heavy them. They'd land right below it, and he couldn't actually hit them. And the hitbox is still pretty bad. But notice how once I was close enough, I could now hit Bardock. And the same is true for Kid Buu, Gotenks, Teen Gohan, any small characters you can now down heavy. It's very reliable now, and it has armor, so it's actually better than other down heavies in a lot of ways. So Broly now has a reliable down heavy, which is fantastic. However, his other buff, which is actually pretty substantial, is his armor for his special moves now starts up faster on every single one, and that's a very big deal because of pressure. So the opponent now has a much tougher time pressuring Broly, which is fantastic. So if I tell Bardock to vanish, and then after I block it, and boom, I can beat everything he had there, all the way to the corner now. Time to extend the combo with an assist, or go straight into super and then tag super for some extra beefy damage, all because you dared to push a button after vanishing on me. That's what Broly can do. It also beats tons of setups as well. So if you're fighting Gotenks, who may be the best character in the game, but Broly appears to be a hard counter to Gotenks because he could do his tornado kick where he spins in the air, and then on the way down if he goes for pressure, you can just armor through it and beat it. Now keep in mind Broly does take damage for this, so it's not like a guaranteed win. You might take more damage than you meant to by absorbing those hits, but the fact that Broly can say no to almost all forms of pressure now is a very big buff, and it's going to make him very, very intimidating. And then next up we have Piccolo. I think Piccolo is one of the best winners of this patch. So for starters, his 2S command grab is now faster, so his down key attack, it's now much quicker than it used to be, so it's great for extending combos, which is just awesome. I did a terrible job showing it there. There we go, so that's good for pressure, or I could have gone straight from that into heavy, I think. Let me go ahead and try. I've never played Piccolo before, but hey, you can do stuff like that. Oh man, he has new combo options too off of Vanish as a result, so after a Vanish now you can actually instant air dash and do a light attack I believe, and then on the way down you can do that combo you just saw where you grab him and then go for a little extender into super. So he has new combo options off of Vanish and just new combo options in general. Not to mention his antenna lightning attacks are faster and have better hitboxes now, so this one is actually faster in particular. But they both have better hitboxes, which means they're more consistent for combos. That's very, very useful. And then in the air, his quarter circle back light attack is now faster. He lands on the ground sooner and the opponent recovers later, so it's better for pressuring. And all of those buffs I just mentioned hold true for the heavy version as well. So he has better pressure now as the opponent's getting up. That's just fantastic. So Piccolo is definitely much better than he used to be. He's a monster of a character now, not to mention other characters around him got some nerfs here and there. So I think Piccolo is definitely upper mid tier now, if not top tier at this point. Especially in the hands of certain players like Apology Man and also Hook Gang God. They're just fantastic with Piccolo, and he got so many buffs. I think he got more buffs than any other character on the list. And even though some of those buffs are a bit minor, I think they combined go a long way to making him better. And last but not least, let's talk about Beerus. I think Beerus is the king of this patch. He got the most buffs as far as how substantial they are compared to how weak they were before. So Piccolo got the most buffs, right? He got the most in terms of quantity. But in terms of quality, I think Beerus got the best buffs, especially considering how bad he used to be. Now once again, like all characters in this game, I don't think he was ever not viable. I just think he had a tougher time than other characters, and his toolset was definitely lacking, and now it's much, much better. So for starters, this move is now faster. Every single version has faster startup, and they travel faster as well. So what does that mean? I've covered an entire video actually on Beerus if you want to watch that, and it goes into far more detail, but basically, the light version is now a true block string. It's very, very scary. The medium version, after a heavy attack, is either a true block string or at least a counter hit setup. Not to mention it now combos naturally. Which means Beerus now has a slide knockdown from mid-screen. Used to he required the corner for that, no longer the case. He can now do it from mid-screen as well. So Beerus has a true block string now with the light version, which he can forward dash afterwards if you block it, and with the help of an assist he can go for a mix-up on the way down, so very, very useful. And then of course he has a medium version which is great for combos. Now on top of that, his reversal is now armored in the middle, so it's now a true reversal, just like Vegeta and other characters. It's a very good get off me tool, very, very useful. And then last but not least, we have the command grab, his level 3, which I should do it in the corner actually to show this off. It now has so much knockdown afterwards that you have time to do a regular forward jump into heavy, and the opponent can't actually punish you for it. So I mistimed it there as he was getting up. But if the opponent had gone for a wake up level 3, it wouldn't have worked. It would have whiffed, I would have had time to land and reflect the attack and then go for a full combo. It's a true mix-up because the opponent can't actually punish it, and if they do try to block, it's a very good setup. I can go for an empty jump instead if I want, or if I wanted to be extra fancy, I could instant air dash and go for an overhead that way at the end, just as an extra mix-up because the opponent might be expecting me to land sooner, but you extend your time in the air for an overhead that comes a bit later. That can be extra sneaky. So even though Gotenks and Adult Gohan might be the best characters in the game, I think Beerus is the king of this patch. He got the most buffs, they were the most substantial. Piccolo had the most in general, but in terms of quality, Beerus got the best buffs in my opinion. So if you're a Beerus main, be very, very happy, and if you're on the fence about playing Beerus, then there's never been a better time to play him. Pick him up right now and give him a try because he's very viable now. There's nothing holding you back from getting those wins. Beerus is now a very viable character. Alright everyone, and that concludes my review of the recent patch notes and which characters got it the best, which characters got it the worst, and which characters are now considered the best in the game, as well as the worst in the game. Rest in peace, Android 17. At any rate, this video is getting a bit long-winded, so thanks so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then please leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a lot. And while you're down there, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.